'Twas bitterly cold when you first came to our city, when I stood waiting for you before the Ark of the Worthy. To think that it is where it all began. How much has changed since that day. Forgive me. Of late, I've been studying the works of the Belladian poet king, who wrote, "To ye who ask of things to come, give thought to what is past and gone." So rarely have we the luxury to reflect on the choices we have made. Oh, how they have shaped our lives and the lives of others. Even I, a mere steward whose deeds would not merit a footnote in the annals of history, can see the value in this. I say this to you, Master Derplander, because as you move, so too does the world. Pray spare a moment to contemplate your journey while you can. The road stretched on, obscured by an endless veil of snow. Somewhere in the white beyond stood the great iron gates, and on the other side, a humble manservant who awaited the coming of 3 travelers. Oh, warm and welcome to you, Master Derplander. To what do I owe the pleasure? I'm just kind of thinking back to the first days I got here. Retracing your days from those first days in Ishgard, I see. Well, no one could begrudge you for indulging in a little nostalgia. I am reminded how much I owe you and yours. Lest you forget, foreign merchants were subject to a frankly unreasonable level of scrutiny until relatively recently. Not now, sir. Not so now, however. Now, goods from every corner of the Eorzea flow into our markets, and that, my friend, is a change we can all appreciate. Merchants of all nations speak a common tongue, and its words are coin. Needless to say, there is little profit to be had in prejudice, especially against those who have received the patronage of a count. Thus, when the wards of House Fortalt arrived, she was glad to make their acquaintance. What'll it be, then? Ale? Mulled wine? No, don't tell me. Tea? I'm just here to take a trip down memory lane. Oh ho! So it's to be memories then, is it? Now there's a bitter draught that'll leave you wanting, assuming you can remember your own name, that is. Take your friend Tataru. One moment she's just another girl, waiting on customers, clearing tables and so forth, and the next she's got a dozen admirers asking after her every bloody night, and I'll be damned if I can remember how that happened. Singing those stupid songs, dancing those daft dances, though, to be honest, I think it was her stories that really won him over. Stories of a certain hero's grand adventures across Eorzea, told with a flair that I'd put a minstrel to shame. Who doesn't love a good hero's tale, am I right? Else, we've even got one of the man who's built this tavern. One's one of the founding fathers of Ishgard, or so it goes. Now, as the Inquiridon told it, besides Haldrath, the only knights who survived the battle with Nidhogg were the founders of the high houses. Of course, these days we all know better than to put too much stock in the words of the church, eh? Right. But there's more to our tale than just words. There's a sword, too. One which has been passed down from proprietor to proprietor since before anyone can remember. She's a rusty old bugger, but if you look closely at her handle, you can just make out an inscription. Brothers brave and true, live well, forgotten and content. A man who forsook wealth and fame and chose the life of a humble tavern keeper. It's just a tale, of course, albeit a good one. As for the truth, who can say? Who can say? He knew everyone's story, though he would never share his own. An optimist, he wanted to believe the best in people. Sometimes that faith would be rewarded, Other times betrayed. But he would listen regardless, and he would hope. Master Durplander, I was for this moment thinking of you. Oh, I had hoped to speak with you at Sir Amaric's investiture, but circumstances conspired to prevent me from attending. Mayhap you'll allow me to say now what I wish I could not say then. On behalf of House Halinar and all of Ishgard, I offered unto you my deepest and most humble thanks. You risked your life to stand against our sworn enemy and freed us from a millennium of torment. Though we can never hope to repay you, we will ever remember you and your deeds, that our children and their children's children might know the man whom they owe their lives. I can see with the grand investiture would have been more fitting occasion for such words, but I could not risk them being left unspoken. Now, what brings you this way? As you can see, Camp Cloudtop remains much the same as it did during the war, though we no longer watch the skies for Dravanian outliers. The Vanu have proven themselves similarly worthy of our attention. I say, old boy, you have the most uncanny ability to appear wherever I least expect you. But enough about that. Roy. Yes, my lord. Lady Noniat, I'm pleased to report that we succeeded in infiltrating the Vundu territory and there observed the beastman harvesting crystals at several different sites. Based on the volume of crystals acquired during our period of surveillance, I have prepared an estimate of how much time I believe it will take the Vundu to gather sufficient crystals for another summoning. I have also taken the liberty of drafting several proposals outlining how the Rose Knights might prevent such eventuality, such as raiding these sites and securing their stores, as well as a detailed assessment of the risks involved should you choose to proceed. Yeah. Right. Here you go. Oh. By the Fury, I gathered you were clever, but I was not aware that you were capable of this. With respect, you are wasted on your master. Hardworking, full of potential. There is a place for you here with the Rose Knights, if you would have it. Oh, that you would even consider me to take me into your service is a tremendous honor, my lady. Were I free to do so, I would gladly accept, but I'm pledged to another, as you well know. Regrettable, but I understand. I take comfort in the fact that a youth of your talent and character will never want for opportunities. Pledged to another? You rascal! I thought I saw you whispering in young Saliot's ear the other day. You certainly wasted no time in wooing our newest maid. There'll be no secrets between us. You must tell me everything. Where you've been sneaking off to together, what adventures you've been having, every little detail, and don't you dare leave anything out. I'm sure you will not. In any event, you have jointly exceeded my expectations. I grant you leave to return to the city. Should the need arise, I shall call upon you again. Oh, thank you, my lady. I believe we shall do as you suggest. Until we meet again, Master Durplander. Not so fast! The next airship isn't due for another hour and we have so much to talk about! Horoy! Horoy! For all the lady's disdain, it was an old, familiar dance. To her, Lord Emiliane would always be a boy fumbling for a compliment. And perhaps there was comfort in that. A memory of home on the bleak frontier.
1,000 pardons, Master Durplander, and I known you were planning to pay us a visit. I would have seen that you received a proper reception. A feast, perhaps, or at least a formal welcome with men in full dress.
No, you don't need to do that.
You have more than earned it. One need only look at the pilgrims who come in their droves to pray before the relief to see the truth of that. Some abide in silence, while others shed tears, not for sorrow, you understand, but for joy. Joy at being released from Nidhogg's torment. Yes.
Sir Redwald, our shipment has been unloaded, and the quartermaster confirms that all supplies are accounted for. Master Derplander, are you here on official business? No, just strolling down memory lane. A journey to remember and reflect. Aye, much has changed since we first came here together, since I abandoned you to follow the heretic's trail alone.
Come, my lord. Mayhap you recall this survivor whom you carried back to Falcon's Nest that day. Well, his wife but recently gave birth to their first child.
Is that so? Well, well. Mayhap I should pay him a visit.
Oh, he would doubtless be honored, my lord. You need not put yourself to such trouble. Your responsibilities as Count surely leave little enough time as it is.
Think not on that. I am still me, and you are still you. Whatever our respective titles, I would speak to you as a friend. Now, this preoccupation with position and power has sowed no end of discord between our two houses, to the great detriment of our nation. 'Tis especially galling when one considers that much what we have achieved was by virtue of our blood, and not our character. So, call me Count if you must, but know that I take no pride in it. Mayhap one day, when I have earned it, I will. Not today.
Still himself, is he?
An honored man, mindful in tradition. He was loath to accept the assistance from a foreigner in exile, but when forced to confront bitter truths, he looked within and found himself wanting. Pride be damned, then, if it led one astray. We would set aside his prejudices and join hands with this gifted outcast for the greater good of Ishgard. Two foreign heretics against two knights of the Heaven's Ward. Under the watchful gaze of the Fury, they would fight. In the winner's circle, their claims would be proven true. It was the opening gambit of a greater game whose stakes would remain unknown for some time. Good evening to you, sir. Hallowed blessings be upon you. Well, that's a real change of pace. You are Master Derplander, if I'm not mistaken. We have met, though I'm sure you do not remember. It was a seeming lifetime ago, when you answered the Archbishop's summons. I often came here to reflect upon all that has come to pass, and when I saw you gazing at the Holy Vault, I thought, perhaps you had too. You turned our world upside down, everything we held dear, for change, for the truth. They say it had to be done. Did his grace sought godhood? If so, then perhaps it was Fury's will that you prevail. But to say it, to believe it. I know that no man is without sin, but he was pious and humble, wholly devoted to the church and to his people. I knew him, sir. He was a good man. Whatever else he may have been, I will remember him as a good man. To walk the righteous path, to live for the sake of others, to rise to the highest station, yet remain powerless to bring an end to your people's suffering. What price salvation, then? What sacrifice beyond reason? Or uneasy lies the head that wears the crown?
Oh, now we're really departing. Now we got a long way to go. This quest could have had cutscenes that like cut back in sepia and could have been fully voiced. And it'd be a nice, like, basically active credits.
Sergeant Durblander, this is most unexpected. Do you have business with the Admiral?
I just wanted to kind of go over some memories with her, I guess.
A journey of remembrance, you say? Well, all it from me to deny you. Unannounced or not, I suspect the Admiral will be most displeased if she heard that I turned you away.
Then why did you ask?
Thank you, Navigator. I had resigned myself to another day spent listening to my advisors prattle on about the beastman's latest movements. Come, Sergeant, tell me of your adventures.
I will gladly reminisce with you. It's been pretty crazy.
Yes, Guardian, sail in uncharted waters. Though I hope for these new reforms of theirs meet with no resistance. Would not be the first grand voyage to run afoul of reefs ere it properly began. But with Sir Aymeric at the helm, they may yet chart a course for generations to follow. Which is not to say that our own do not need correcting. The Alliance has grown complacent. The bloody nose who gave us at the melee showed me that. Nor have I forgotten the lessons of the banquet. Rest assured, we will root out any further turncoats before the dagger is at our back. You have my word on that, and Lady Yaguri's besides.
Fair enough.
She had never been one to retreat, much less in the face of transparent theatrics. But this had been no ordinary battlefield. Its rules of engagement anything but clear. So she would watch, and she would learn, and in time, she would act.
Okay. Back to the Rising Stones. Oh, maybe not. Up the hill. I assume the Rising Stones.
Master Meteor, it's ought to miss.
No, I'm just here to remember things.
Oh, I am both flattered and surprised that you should remember my small role in this tale, given the grandeur of your subsequent endeavors. Though I must confess to having derived some selfish pleasure from donning the garments of the shinobi once more. I am honored to have been able to assist in freeing General Raubon from his captivity, and I believe I speak for all of my countrymen when I say that we are most grateful to have been granted the opportunity to contribute to the restoration of the Scions. Much has changed, it is true, and much may never be as it was. But in watching you and yours rise from the ashes and rebuild, I am reminded that we must never give in to despair, for there is always something which may yet be saved. Will you be traveling to Uldal next? If so, I would ask a favor of you. I have prepared a special ungent to aid in General Raubon's rehabilitation. Injuries such as his must be tended to daily, even long after they've been healed. You need only deliver this to his man, Commander Swift. He will see that the Flame General receives it.
Greetings, media. What is it you have there?
I have Doman Unguent containing a variety of ground herbs and natural oils. The recipe for this traditional medicine has been passed down for generations.
Oh. Thank you.
Unguent. I was not aware the General required such stuff. And one of our Derman friends made this for him, did she? Very well. I shall be sure to pass it on. Actually, my dear, we have just this moment concluded a meeting, and I would expect he would be glad to speak with you before returning to the palace.
So, Commander Swift tells me that you've come all this way to deliver an unguent.
Yeah, and it's good to reminisce. But you gotta take this as every day, I guess.
Daily, she says. Well, mayhap it is best to be prudent. The gods alone know why you agreed to deliver it for her, though. Unless you mean to favor me with that rematch I requested. Just, lad, you're on a journey of reflection, are you not? Merwelb said just as much. And now you'll want to relive the moment you pulled me from the pit Ilbert let me in to rot. It shames me to think of it. I was so blind to his hatred. Olorito tells me that it was not always so. That Ilbert admitted to him once he believed that I would return to Olamigo at the head of an army. But years passed, and I did nothing. For all my accomplishments, for all my wealth, power, influence, I did naught to better the plight of my people. Not for lack of trying, but Hilbert didn't know. He thought the bull of Olamigo had grown fat and complacent, that my story set a bad example for our countrymen. Forget your homeland and chase in the Uldan dream. A fine, impossible dream which gave men the strength to endure their hardships and try to make new lives for themselves here. Well, so the dream had to die. He would kill me, stir up the disillusioned, arm them at the monetarist's expense, and then... Forgive me. The Scions paid the price for my failings. The gods know. I've no shortage of debts to repay, of vows to keep, and duties to discharge. But mark me well, lad, there will be a reckoning. Mayhap not today, mayhap not tomorrow, but a reckoning there will be.
A refuge of a fallen nation. He had risen from the depths of poverty to claim a seat of the Syndicate, yet for all his great deeds, one was left undone. And like sands through an hourglass, the years slipped away, taking with them an old friend's hope. That's a long way out of there. Man, they were taking us through this entire expansion.
By the Fury, is that you, Master Uplander? Oh, forgive me, but what reason could you possibly have for returning to this godforsaken place?
Just taking a trip down memory lane, man.
Mayhap it is the fates which brings you here on this day of introspection and reflection. We are come to Gorgon Mills to accept the surrender of a half-dozen heretics who once fought for Lady Iceheart. If you're intending to visit the cellars, I would ask you to nothing to unsettle them.
Oh, I'm gonna unsettle them. Unless they have a bear down here. I'll respect the bear.
Wait, I know you. You were at the amphitheater with the Dragon Slayer.
Yeah. Good times, huh?
I suppose we owe you an apology. When you came to seek us to parley, we were sure it was a scheme to lure out Our Lady. Oh, we were sure about a lot of things. When she first shared her revelation, when she told us that she was not Saint Shiva reborn, we assumed it was a test, for we had not prayed for salvation. Oh, had she not descended to deliver us from evil? She replied that our prayers were but fuel for a fever dream, a construct, born of desperation and denial. She was no savior, she said. But then we marched upon Ishgard regardless. She pulled us up from the brink of oblivion and implored us to find another way. Oh, and here we are, ready to lay down our arms at last.
It's time.
Yes, it's time. She considered you a friend. Had things been different, mayhap we could have been friends too. Farewell.
Forsaken by gods and men, they found salvation in a revelation. They would take up arms against their own kind to set ancient wrongs to right. Cut out Ishgard's festering heart, and the war would be over. This they knew, believed with all their being, until their savior told them their efforts would be for naught.
Well, if it isn't a great warrior of light himself, he who slew the dreadworm Nidhogg, bringing an end to 1,000 years of war and my very livelihood. Well, go on then. Strike me down and finish the job. Stab me right in the heart. I'll even lend you my spear if you like. After all, I won't be bloody needing it. Oh, tell me for a moment. Did I had you fooled? You gods, as if I could hate the man who rid us of Nidhogg. Oh, and lest you worry, that business about me losing my livelihood couldn't have been further from the truth. In point of fact, peace is proving surprisingly lucrative. As our nation's ties with Reisvelga's brood have grown stronger and our interest in Dravania have begun to expand, we have seen a marked increase in the number of travelers on the road. Needless to say, said travelers require protection, which we are only too happy to provide. Granted, such work will not earn you a lordship like slaying a dragon might, but it pays well and is far less prone to end in incineration, which seems a reasonable enough compromise, all things considered. As long as there are wars to fight, there will be those who take up arms not out of hatred or even a sense of duty, but for once better employment. When presented with an alternative, such individuals will gladly trade their swords for scythes, or, failing that, pledge them to a more worthy cause. All right, here we go. Now we're all the way back. Getting to the early days.
Something the matter, son? Not giving you troubles?
No? I'm just trying to remember things.
Oh, a journey of remembrance, eh? Good, feels only like yesterday that your sail turned up in Tailfeather with you in tow. Back into our lives and gone. All too soon. Did I ever tell you how we found her? 5 years back? In a torpor. Out there in the forest. All by her lonesome. Aye, well, we weren't about to leave her there, so we carried her back here and tended to her till she woke up. Didn't say a word for days, you sail. Just sat there and stared up at the sky, as if the ground held nothing for her. And it didn't, we learned, when she finally spoke. Now, you might think she's not one to smile, but if you'd seen her in those years that followed... Oh. Then one day, all of a sudden, she says she's got a truth that must be shared. Up in the leaves of the gods, where, that was the last we heard of her. For a time. Redemption's not beyond us, friends. Come and hear the truth. Come and hear Lady Iceheart speak. And they did. From far and wide. Also the story went. Some said there was nothing in it, but I knew. I knew. To think, Meteor, that deep down most folk want to do right by themselves and others.
And they try, oh, how they try. You certainly do. So did she. Apologies. You came here to think on your own memories, not listen to mine. I take it the Natha next? Right then. If we do this properly, you'll need to gather up your incentives, same as before. In case you forgot, a basket of fresh column tree fruit, a good-sized jar of landtrap nectar, and a dirty great cartload of young Nanka flesh. Oh, come on, lad. Surely you can't be that bloody daft. You're more than welcome to the village already. Safe travels. Hunter of dragons and goats, I bid you welcome. What would you ask of me this eve?
Just taking a trip down memory lane.
Once, we would have no conception of what you speak. The one mind does not forget, but we do. It can be most distressing to remember.
No, that can't be real. Oh my god. Oh my god. Why? Why would you pay that?
Puppy dog, 16 months.
To remember is not enough. One must strain to give words to memory and inscribe words upon parchment. This is the chronicler's calling. He wrote of how you came to Lotha's Fath, and how you left to slay Ravana, and how the young hunter trained with the old hunter while you were away. We shall treasure these memories, this history you have given us. And when the new Vath join us, we will share it with them as well.
Bound no longer to the will of the many, they were now free to walk their own path. Thus reborn, they would write their first chapter of a new history to be passed on to future generations. And as their culture grew older and richer, so too would their story. Let's go talk to some dragons. Let's go talk to some dragons. This really makes me wonder how 3.4 is going to stand on its own if they're wrapping, like if they're really kind of putting all this to bed like this. I thought you could maybe get in from out here. Doesn't seem to be the case. Not faster, anyway. Maybe from the other side? Alright. How many lurkers do we have in here? It's just a general rule of thumb. A lot. We're a daytime stream, man. People are hanging out at work. They're just listening. Just hanging out. I'm a big old lurker when I watch streams, so I respect it.
Friend of yourself, warriors of warriors, thou art ever welcome in Onyx Shrine. What bringeth thee to us this day?
I want to remember, which is probably a weird word for you to hear.
There is much wisdom to be gained from looking to the past, to walk half-remembered paths, to mark anew their twists and turns. We too do this, though not through pilgrimage, nor less the written word beloved of thy historians. In song do we preserve the deeds of our lost chronicle, the passing of the ages. and naught hath greater power to stir our hearts. 'Twas a dirge of the profoundest sadness that roused Nidhogg's brood to action, a dirge which soundeth no more. Now a new song riseth to fill the void, one of hope rekindled, one of war's end and peace's rebirth. I shall sing of thee in Ysail ever after, that all may know and remember. In the chorus, the fallen could rise once more, but none were dead, whose names yet echo in the heavens, and the song would not yet end until the last voice fell silent. Heroes and villains, sinners and saints, all would live again.
Okay, now we gotta work our way back down the mountain. Lemon's here, running errands. There we go. I appreciate that you guys let me be second monitor content. Hey, buddy. You doing any of those chores yet? I actually just came by to remember, but I wondered.
Well, Yank, my pawman, call me a molebat. I wasn't expecting to see you today. Still calling yourself Meteor? Not that there's anything wrong with that, Kupo. Anyway, what are you doing here?
Just didn't want to leave you out.
Thank heavens for that! I was certain you were going to ask for help with that yet another one of your exciting quests. But by all means, we'd love to pass the time reminiscing about the good old days, and when better than now, Kupo? What with your friends visiting and all, wait here, and I'll fetch them.
My friends? Why are my friends here? What are you guys doing here?
For glad I am to see you again, Meteor, and in Morgholm of all places. Kupo, it really is you, and just when we were about to leave. I think it wonderful, this pilgrimage of yours, a final reflection upon the past, that you might face the future with eyes unclouded and a heart at peace. Few then would deny the events of recent days warrant such a contemplation. When last we stood in this place, I dare say none of us among our number would have believed that was what was to follow, young Estinian least of all. Upon learning what befell him at Azizla, I confess I thought him lost. But when Master Alphino told me of your great struggle, and of his salvation, I was reminded of your talent for the impossible.
Yeah.
If you ask me, he seemed altogether too stubborn to die, though I suppose it is in no small feat to evict a smite-spilled worm once it has made its home in one's head. With Nidhogg's passing, the children of Ishgard and Dravania may last look to the future. It is my hope, however, that they will not forget the deeds of history, nor the many thousands of lives lost in their conflict. For only through remembrance will they avoid the mistakes of the past. We thank you again for your hospitality, Chief Morgulin, and pray that you will one day allow us to extend you the same courtesy. I wish you well on your journey, Meteor. May you ever walk in the light of the crystal. Oh, until we meet again, goodbye!
Even in the farthest reaches of distant, dangerous lands, one may chance upon a friendly face. Though given to mischief and largely unconcerned by the troubles of the outside world, they came to understand Ishgard's plight and agreed to lend their aid. Eventually, that is. The crackling warmth of Alphino's campfire, the savory waft of Ysael's bubbling stew, the soft snoring of Morgan, asleep on the grass. A cold wind blew that night as well, and on the morrow they mounted for the steps and blew the horn. But having climbed to the summit, with hope in their hearts, they descended, dejected, weighed down by truths too grim to contemplate.
You there! Over here! Help quickly! I should have known you would see through my disguise. But enough talk. We cannot linger here, lest the guards recognize their sultana. As you may have deduced, I was taking the air outside the palace when I saw you standing there, staring off into space. Have you something on your mind?
Just thinking back.
Oh, I understand completely. So much has happened, so much has changed, and all in so short a space of time. Even now, I struggle to make sense of it all. But one thing, at least, is abundantly clear. I owe you an immense debt of gratitude for all you have done on my behalf, on behalf of those who I hold dear. After I awoke, Papa Sean told me everything. It was a lot to take in, but nothing could prepare me for what Lord Lolorito had to say. That ruthless, manipulative swine came before me and expressed regret for what had come to pass, and thinking to make amends, offered all of Teleji Adeleji's assets, as well as half his own personal fortune to the crown. And I accepted. Long did I debate how best to use his wealth, and there's no end to the troubles facing our nation, and no shortage of worthwhile causes. Yet none among our people have suffered more than the refugees, and it is they who shall be first to receive aid and succor. Oh, there is also the matter of the terrible wrongs committed against you and yours, for which I am in large part responsible. Nay, do not protest. It is the truth. Accordingly, I have set aside monies to aid in the Scion's rebuilding, if you would have them.
Yeah. We want money from the Sultana.
Oh, pray do not thank me. Not after all you have suffered. And know that I do not think to atone for my mistakes with money, but it is a tool which I would see put to good use. Oh, listen to me. So much for enjoying a moment's respite outside the palace walls. It rather seems as if I have brought my responsibilities with me. I suppose I should return.
You should.
Lady Lilira? Lady Lilira? You must come at once. Father is worried sick, you know. Confound it. Search this area. I know she came through here. Oh, on the other hand, it is essential that a ruler see firsthand how her subjects go about their daily lives. And I have not visited the markets in weeks. It would seem a shame to let this opportunity go to waste. Meteor, might I impose on you that you have a brief yet cordial conversation with the Salted Swarm? I leave the choice of subject matter up to you. Take care!
Alright, let's go distract the Sultan Swarm.
Ah, I beg your pardon, sir. Did you, perchance, see a young Lalafella noblewoman pass this way?
No?
Are you certain? Oh dear, Master Papa Sean said this might happen, but I never truly believed he was serious.
Oh, he was very serious.
Wait, I know you. You're Meteor. Meteor Taplander. What a stroke of luck. I can think of none better qualified to help us, you see. It is no mere noblewoman that we seek. But Master Papa Sean was most explicit about the need for secrecy. I forget I mentioned it. We will find the lady on our own.
What cruel fate to lose her father as a child, and be compelled to rule in his stead, and how the years have tempered her dreams and taught her, sometimes brutally, the price of naivete. Though outwardly unscathed by her ordeal, it was a wiser and more wary Nonimo who reclaimed the throne. We've almost worked our way all the way back, so unless they're going to take me all the way back through ARR as well, we've got to be coming up on the end.
Oh, there you are, Meteor. Igiri told me of your pilgrimage. I knew it was only a matter of time before you sought me out. I too have been reflecting on the choices which shaped my path. When I took the road to visit my grandfather, when I joined the Crystal Braves, when I tried and failed to warn you before the banquet, I had my suspicions about Wilred's death, and it was the work of a Garlean spy within our ranks. But I could not be sure who was involved, hence my desire to speak with you in private. I thought long and hard about how to approach you without raising suspicion. Mayhap too long. Eventually, I decided to arrange a meeting through Mistress Momodi. Little did I know that bastard Laurentius had seen me do it. Shortly thereafter, the fourth received urgent summons. Needless to say, I had no choice but to answer, and soon found myself at the mercy of Captain Ilbert's band of traitors. They confined me to the Rising Stones, along with others still loyal to the Scions. Riol, Femi, Agamus. Oh, quite what they had planned to do with us, I couldn't say. Mayhap they would... thought we would turn, given times. The fools. Lieutenant Uyasi bid me the third keep us under constant guard, but when Captain Ilbert moved to carry out General Raubon's execution, they were forced to withdraw all but a token force, which we took by surprise one night. Oh, then it was over. One might argue that it turned out better than it had any right to, all things considered. Still, there are nights when I lie awake wondering if I had done things differently. If I had been more careful, or more decisive. What then? But there is naught to be gained from thinking thus. We must count our blessings, must we not? We were still here, and most of what we've broken can be rebuilt. You'll see, Meteor. You'll see.
For the freedom of all, it had begun with an oath and ended with a betrayal. As the conspirators turned upon their comrades for coin and country, the good and true were beaten and imprisoned, or else butchered where they stood. But, even in their darkest moments, they never stopped believing that the dawn's light would shine again. Now, is this affected at all by any class quests I've done? Are there additional steps that are optional? Because I've only done some of the class quests. I've only done 4 of the Heavensward class quests. As well as the 3 30 to 50s added with Heavensward. No, it does not. Okay.
Why, hello there, Meteor. Fancy meeting you here. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hey, guys.
Reminiscing about the glory days, eh? We've spent many a sleepless night hammering away in that corner, boss. How's your mana cutter holding up, by the way?
It's holding up great.
Ah,
Oh, that's good to hear. Not that I had any doubts, like our craftsmanship's second to none.
quite right. It'll take more than a swirling wind and raging dragons to bring her down. And that, my friend, is an Ironworks guarantee.
Speaking of which, on the back of the field test success, you've gone ahead and licensed the design for mass production. Soon, the Sky Shield manufactory will be churning out mana cutters by the dozen. Which is why we're here today, as a matter of fact, to make sure the machinists don't bugger anything up.
Apparently, adventurers have been queuing up for place in order. And even some sky pirates. Oh, just imagine the sea of clouds teeming with our creations fills me with a father's pride.
Right then. And to not patting ourselves on the back, we've got to make sure the cutters are up to snuff, or Chess will never let us hear the end of it. Now, till we finish, there'll be no more breaks, distractions, and not 1 week of sleep, do you hear me?
No! Oh, no. You can't joke about. Well, we'll leave you to it.
Till next time, eh? Ah!
Bye!
Despite the many hardships they had endured, or perhaps because of them, they greeted every new challenge with a smile. Their workship, their battlefield, their tools, their weapons, they invariably rose to the occasion, delivering ingenious solutions to seemingly insoluble problems. Through tempestuous winds they carved a path, breaching the Dreadworm's sanctum, and there did they put him to the sword. Yet, in the wake of hard-fought victory were secrets laid bare in a vision dark and disturbing. The legacy of their fathers, bequeathed to their sons and passed down through the generations, old blood enduring in the new, the mark of original sin.
Ah, there he is at last! Gimberland, you said you were wandering all over, reminiscing about days gone by. It seems a bit soon, if you ask me. It's not like I don't understand, though. Just some days I'd be walking through the room, same as normal, and it'll hit me all of a sudden. Just how much has changed for all of us. Though I know it's a bit different from what you've been through.
Puts me in my mind the first time I saw him and his friends up near the Aetheryte. He showed around at that house Fulton, man.
You never told me that before.
What? There weren't so much a meeting as a heckling, to be honest. When I heard their guide warning them of being a visit to the room, it stuck in my craw. You gotta admit, Master Alphino's the spitting image of a snotty little lordling.
A little lordling went on to fight 2 knights of the Heaven's Ward with Meteor here in trial by combat, not to mention helping them take the bolt from the True Brothers. Glory of mercy. Feels like a bleeding lifetime ago, don't it? 'Cause it was. What we've got now is nothing like what we had before. It's a bleeding rebirth is what it is. Cold comfort to the folk who died getting us here. Still, the piece is ours, and we owe it to ourselves to make the most of it. Meaning, we've got to work twice as hard to make the Broom a better place. And no more harassing blue bloods neither.
Right.
Yes, okay. Aye.
A world apart from the opulence of the pillars, they had toiled, shrouded in the haze of the Broom, sentenced to a life of hardship by birth. They dreamed of revolutions as children, dreamed of fairies. Then, one came and went. They suddenly found themselves with a seat at the table.
Here, clouds part and let's shine brilliant sun upon Lanu Vanu. Great Netherling warrior returns to Okuzundu and on pilgrimage of remembrance. Well. Know that we will always be grateful to you for your victory over the ravenous whites. No longer need have we fear for the safety of our smallest islands. But Lanu Vanu is not one to forget the Netherling's first coming, when he saves us from certain death at the hands of the Black Ones, distant memory though it is. Yes, his many deeds are the stuff of legends. We shall remember the stories and heroes' name. Meteor Nearblanda, for we are worthy of celebration now and ever after.
An earnest, good-natured people, they had borne witness to the rage of their beloved Gord's twisted manifestation, and proclaimed it to be false. By the grace of kind travelers were they duly delivered from its wrath, the mad god's death signaling the birth of a new hero.
Well met, Meteor. What brings you here this day?
Just remembering things.
Oh, indeed. Though it seems like an age, it was not all that long ago that we rescued Stola from the live stream. How quickly we began to forget even those memories most precious to us. In my defense, I might add that I rarely missed an opportunity to make new memories with my sister in the days since her return. Our conversations are largely on matters of scientific and professional concern. Ancient elegant technologies, primals, Asians, and so forth. She has an insatiable thirst for knowledge, as you know. Yet while I understand her desire not to burden us around her with her troubles, and to carry on as she did before, I do worry that her willingness to manipulate her own ether to compensate for the loss of her sight may have dire repercussions. It will. Oh crap. Should never have told you then. Well, but of course not. 'Twould rather have defeated the purpose. You should know that the technique she employs places a tremendous strain on her body. She is, of course, well aware of her limits, and more than willing to ignore them should she deem it necessary. I pray that you see she does not. Regrettably, she is wont to ignore my advice when it does not suit her. Yet, given your shared experiences, mayhap she will be more willing to heed your warnings.
Her sister was under no illusions as to the dangers of the life she had chosen. Should the worst come to worst, Yustola would do what needed to be done, pay any price, make any sacrifice, and that without hesitation. She was a woman of conviction, deserving of respect and admiration, and no small amount of worry.
School! Why must governing great Gobby nation be so difficult? Like herding corals. Stupid corals with much differing views on glorious nation's future direction.
I just came here to take a trip down memory lane.
Yes, Slowfix no see us letting emotions run wild. Uplander welcome voice of reason. Not like when Uplander first returned to Idleshire, yes?
So much venom in the one's tongue flaps, calling Gobi Block thieves. But Slowfix saw a way to mutual understanding. Citizenship in society first step in strengthening communal ties. Gives us all vested interest in continuing prosperity of egalitarian utopia.
Those are some big words, buddy. Big words. Well, the final objective of this quest. For the final objective of this quest, you will receive no guidance from the journal or the duty list. You will need to read the text carefully and decipher the clues to determine your next course of action.
Score! And now Slowfix bids Uplander fulfill civic duty as citizen of Idleshire with hand-lending of great import. In cave south of settlement lives Old Crone, wielder of powerful magic used to crafty make for frogmen and chase away curious gobies. Uplander has made busy deals with Old Crone, yes? Well, the Uplander can appeal to Crone's better nature and make her call off frogmen harriers.
That says, it even says speak with Matoya.
Well, this is a pleasant surprise. I'm well aware that you're only here because you want something, but at least you didn't bring your little friends. So, out with it.
I'm here for memories and that the goblin said you were chasing them off with frogs or something.
Oh, is that what the goblins told you? That my servants were attacking their poor, defenseless scouts without the slightest provocation? The little buggers were trying to eat them. They're lucky I didn't have my progos return the favor. But you can tell them from me that if they try it again, I will personally feed them to my servants, one limb at a time. I do hope you didn't come all this way just to play errand boy for those dirty little scroungers.
No, I've been making a lap around trying to remember.
Aren't you a bit young to be going on grand journeys of reflection? You haven't lived long enough to have so many regrets. The same goes for that boy, complaining that things hadn't unfolded as he dreamed they would. It makes no difference what should have happened to Benfilia. What matters is what did happen. The past is the past, and no amount of wishing you'd done things differently will make it so. You make your choices. You do what needs to be done. That's it. That's the attitude you came here the first time, and when you wanted to find a way to get to Ozislaw, and you would do well to remember it. Right then. I think you've wasted enough of my time. It's bad enough that I have to suffer Stolar's unannounced visits. I don't need you making a habit of it too.
She was the sum of everything that had come before. Triumphs, failures, all essential, all indispensable. Had things unfolded differently, so too would she. What use then to mourn the woman who never was? There was only this time, this place, this choice. You spy something on the ground at the landing's edge. I don't know. Oh, Westinian's been here. A bouquet of fresh Nimia lilies lies at your feet, an offering for the departed. A thousand fires blossomed around her as she fell towards the battleship, a crimson star shower amidst the impassive clouds. Then came the azure light, faint at first, soon blinding, then shattering, casting motes of diamond to the four winds. For those we have lost. I assume that Astinian left that for your sale. Alright. Let's charge on. So now we are Aether Chemical, we're up to level 60. So we're going ahead, if we're going in order, we're now to here. So we're almost to yesterday. We're flying through this. This is a much faster way. This tells me they can do summaries. Because they've already got summaries in game. So when people say, like, how could you summarize the story? This is the basis of a summary. They've already predetermined what's important. You would have to fill in some blanks because you can't just show a bouquet and know what happens, but you could cut together clips of the stuff that led up to this, and you could take this expansion and get it down to under an hour. And like, would obviously you have to cut things? Absolutely. Like, that's the nature of anything. If you guys have ever read a book in school that was abridged, they had to cut things. So like, it'll never be as good as the full text. But for people that are like, hey, the base expansion and its patch content is 100 hours. Can I do it in like 2? Yes, it can absolutely be made into a movie. Great, I really wish I got to see the whole thing. Well, that's the benefit. Like, TV shows can have much deeper character development over 10 seasons than a 2-part movie series. So this could have been the basis of a summary. This, as it is purely an epilogue. Because they're not playing back to clips. So, like, saying of Lost, you're like, who is Lost? But you could cut right there.
Child of man, chosen of Ireland, naught remained for thee here, save the delusions of the condemned. In my madness did I spy my departed brood brother in yonder skies. Oh, I know it cannot be so.
Yeah, I killed Nidhogg today, so, you know.
What sayest thou? My senses are yet my own. Then he whom I saw was but my dead brother's rancor clad in mortal flesh.
I mean, yeah.
And thou didst deliver him under death's cold embrace.
I did, and then I threw his eyeballs off a bridge.
I bear thee no ill will, child. 'Tis beyond me. All my hatreds are bound up in moments ephemeral and eternal. My beloved's passing, and his resurrection. I am no better than Nidhogg, consumed by love, twisted by rage. I too sought vengeance without end. Yet thou since renounced it, hast thou not? Through millennia I watched as time did which I could not. As the men of Alec perished and their works fell to ruin, leaving me to think on mine own sins in solitude. What folly to despise man his base desires, when hatred's hand so effortlessly drove me to take Asian raid. Then thou on him again with eyes unclouded, and mark how he laboureth to rise above his nature, how he and Rezvelga's brood now raise their voices in a shared song of peace. 'Tis my dearest hope that it should prove the founding stone for a bulwark against the dark. As time delivered Alagdun to its reward, so too will it prove this peace true or fleeting, as I remain here, apart and watch. Chosen of Ireland, it is well that thou camest to me in contemplation, for the road stretches ever on, and thy battle is not yet won.
I know. Perhaps there was hope for them. Perhaps, this time, they would learn and remember. But her part in the tale had ended long ago. Within this monument to hubris, she would remain until the end of days. Beyond redemption.
The end of days is an odd choice of phrase there. Because the end of days, in the context of 3.3, says forever. But the end of the days, in the concept of a player from 6.2, that's not an eternity. That's the end of days. Just saying, as phrases go, odd choice of words. Alright. So now we're up to the level 60 stuff. Aetherochemical Research Facility. Am I going to go all the way back through Anti-Tower? If so, this questline is legendary.
The Undying Ones were defiant, disbelieving, even as death embraced them. Then the knights too succumbed, loyal to the last to a cause long lost. His body growing light, the archbishop looked upon the arbiter of his fate, and knew not what he saw. Then it was over. Naught remained save the eyes, thinking to bear them away from the covetous hands of men. Estinian took the accursed baubles in his own, and was duly bent to their will, if only for a time. At a friend's behest had they embarked upon their journey, and so, after their triumphant homecoming, and all the pomp and circumstance, there was but one way it could end.
Okay, so now we've got our riddle. So, friend's behest, they embarked upon their journey. First thought is to go to Ishgard. And it's not going to show me. But my first thought is to go up to the vault. Because I assume at this point we need to say thanks to Harshaphant? Unless this is an Estinian reference. But he's alive. That's the first place I would say. Because that's where he died, right? Because we were in the vault, and he died up there. Okay. So after a triumphant homecoming, and all the pomp and circumstance, there was but one way it could end. Here, let me inside. Interesting that up to this point they didn't let me do any of the guessing. Right? That up to this point they didn't let me do any of the guessing. They could have let me guess through all of this. After their triumphant homecoming. All the pomp and circumstance. Where did they bury him? We went and had his shield. We went and saw his shield, right?
Was that him we buried up here? Let's check that next. See if we can pay some respects. I believe that's where he died. Or, well, that's not where he died. That's where we buried him. It looks out over Ishgard, which at night is particularly beautiful. Like, that's incredible.
Hello again, old friend. It doesn't get any easier, does it?
Well, that's a neat little emotional thread they can pull on. And then we stayed overnight, and it was daytime.